I play in Serbia, brother. I play in Serbia, so I wish you guys can feel that.
There are few things that matter more to the average Serbian than basketball. Basketball is one of the most popular sports in a country that's always been capable of developing talented players. But that, in part, is because of the country's great cultural tradition. And when we say they take the sport very seriously, we're not exaggerating in the slightest. The two-time regular season MVP and newly crowned NBA champion is the top basketball player in a country that's been exporting players to the NBA for decades. But beyond the individual success of its players, Serbia is known worldwide in the basketball world for its collective performances. Serbia was one of the countries that before 1989 made up Yugoslavia. So its tradition in this sport has been very prominent. And we already told part of this story from the Croatian point of view in the Drazen Petrovic tribute video. But when Serbia finally gained its independence, which for many years was competing together with Montenegro, the Eastern European country began its era of basketball domination. A golden era that, in terms of titles, lasted from 1995 to 2002, and in which Serbia had one of the best generations in the history of international basketball, still competing under the name of the Federal Republic of Yugoslavia. And it's no exaggeration to say that this group of players was, at the time, the best international team in the world. This Yugoslavian team was so dominant that they eliminated the host nation, the all-powerful United States, on their home soil, on the way to the 2002 FIBA World Championship. Perhaps not by individual names, since at the moment, no team has been able to surpass the talent of the Americans, but that Serbian team had something very special on a collective level. Serbia, competing as the Federal Republic of Yugoslavia at the time, began its dominance with a victory at the Eurobasket held in Greece in 1995, when Vlade Divac was the best-known name on a team in which most of the players were playing in Europe's elite. Sasa Obradovic, Predraj Danilovic, Aleksandar Đorđević, Dejan Bodiroga, all were important players on the old continent, and their cohesion allowed their country to win the gold medal with a perfect record of 9 wins and no losses. But that would only be the tip of the iceberg. Serbia and Montenegro, still under the name of the FR Yugoslavia, won gold at the 1997 Eurobasket in Spain, bronze at the 1999 Eurobasket in France, and gold at the 2001 Eurobasket in Turkey. It was without any doubt the maximum dominance of European basketball, which during those 4 competitions achieved an incredible record of 30 wins and 3 losses. But in addition to having a generation of great talent since the mid-1990s, Serbia continued to produce extremely talented players who would eventually prove their worth in the NBA. Peja Stojakovic, Marko Jaric, and Vladimir Radmanovic also coincided in time to lengthen that European dynasty over time, and at the same time enjoyed good careers in a league that seemed more and more attainable for young players from all over the country. But on the world stage, FR Yugoslavia continued to demonstrate an incredible ability to dominate. The 1998 World Cup held in Greece and the 2002 World Cup held in the United States ended with the same result: a gold for a group of players who looked like they couldn't lose, posting a record of 15 wins and 3 losses, including one in the quarterfinals of that 2002 World Cup, in which they beat a United States team that had players like Paul Pierce, Reggie Miller, Ben Wallace, Shawn Marion, Baron Davis, and Elton Brand by a score of 81-78. A victory on American soil that proved American basketball was no longer immortal. And that also foreshadowed the disaster of the 2004 Olympic Games. The only thing that was missing for that group of players was to win the Olympic gold, an almost impossible mission considering the importance that the US national team gives to this tournament. But of course, the two superpowers met in the 1996 final for the gold after being the only 2 teams in the world undefeated during the group stage. And although the match was not too close, everyone knew that Serbia was the only team that would have been able to stand up to the United States of Charles Barkley, Shaquille O'Neal, Karl Malone, John Stockton, David Robinson, Hakeem Olajuwon, Reggie Miller, Scottie Pippen, and Gary Payton. The truth is that, since then, the success of the Serbian team has been much more sporadic and less intense. Something that's also been caused by Montenegro's independence referendum, in which the small country located southwest of Serbia decided to become an independent country by a mere 0.5% of votes. Since 2002, the national team, first competing as Serbia and Montenegro, and since 2006 as Serbia, has won 4 silver medals in total. 2 at the Eurobasket in 2009 and 2017, 1 at the 2014 World Cup, and 1 at the Rio de Janeiro Olympics in 2016. However, this country has continued to produce and export talent that ultimately migrated to the United States to earn as much money as possible during their careers. And this factor has become more noticeable over the last decade, where as many as 10 from the European powerhouse have been drafted in the NBA. Many are familiar names, such as Boban Marjanovic, Bogdan Bogdanovic, Nermanja Bjelica, or his namesake Nermanja Nedovic. Players who in some cases have managed to enjoy relatively long careers and who have offered quality minutes in the franchises they've been in. But there's a case of a player who's broken all the molds. That's how we get back to the beginning of the video. NIKOLA Jokic is the greatest celebrated individual of Serbian basketball, for his innovative style, for his winning ability, but above all for his personality. A player who has reconverted the meaning of the center position and who has demonstrated a vision and playmaking far superior to that of any big man in NBA history. Because the truth is that there's not much more that can be added about NIKOLA, beyond the fact that he has a good chance to become the best center in the history of the league. But despite being a part of the Serbia squad that won the country's last 2 international medals, it's true that he's not yet been able to lift his team to the top of the podium. A team that, without Jokic, is performing very well in the World Cup that's currently being played, having secured its place in the semifinals and being the second highest scoring team in the tournament, only behind the United States. This new era of Serbian basketball currently consists of a group of players that will have 3 players in the NBA next year: Filip Petrusev, Nikola Jovic, and their captain, Bogdan Bogdanovic. But it also has players who are in the European elite, such as forever stashed Nikola Milutinov of Olympiakos, Ognjen Dobric of Virtus Bologna, Aleksa Avramovic of Partizan, or Vanja Marinkovic of Baskonia. The absence of the Denver Nuggets center may weigh in these last stages of the tournament, and the truth is that when he announced his decision on July 24th, many of Jokic's fellow countrymen fans felt their hopes of victory dwindled to a great extent. However, NIKOLA's season ended on June 13th, and without a doubt, it's been the toughest and longest of his career. It's an understandable decision for the player's own health, who's also only 28 years old and has the chance to play many more FIBA tournaments with his national team. But the 2-time MVP is not the only missing star from the Serbian FIBA squad. One of the sensations of the Oklahoma City Thunder, Aleksej Pokusevski, is also a notable absence during this World Cup, mainly because of an injury history. A player certainly unique, just like Jokic, who's 7 feet tall and has a diverse skill set. With good ball handling and 3-point shooting ability, he's a unique player who can also be really useful in FIBA basketball.
Offensive slump, but Phoenix never did. Oh, Pokusevski realized he was all by himself, follows the initial miss.
If Serbia had all their players, there would be no doubt that they would be one of the biggest contenders for the title. But the fact that the group can perform well without 2 of the biggest stars may be an incentive for NIKOLA Jokic to try and carry Serbia to their biggest accomplishment at Paris 2024.